And welcome to Conservative Talk.
I think it's time for another special. So here's the Roman special part 3.
And welcome back to Conservative Talk. My name is Justin.
And this is Jamie.
And as always, I'd like to take a moment to make sure that we remind our listeners to make sure you're hitting the like and the share button on any of the topics that we do come out and produce. We also encourage everyone to make sure you're hitting the subscribe button as well. That way you can stay up to date on any of these things that we do put out, and you can stay as informed as absolutely possible. We also encourage everyone to go to our website at conservativetalk.org. You'll be able to really see a lot more of these broadcasts through there. And we also encourage you, if you're liking what you're seeing and would like for Jamie and I to continue to produce these, make sure you are hitting the subscribe button in the upper right-hand corner and helping us out with what you're able to, because every little bit is going to go a long way towards allowing Jamie and I to be able to continue with these. So with that out of the way, Jamie, how about let's jump right into a Roman special?
Yeah, so here we go. Here's the big one. Here's the Roman special part 3. And this one is going to be very kind of pointed.
Yes. So before we get started, we do have to come out with this disclaimer here at the top, just simply because of the fact that some of the information that we're all going to be talking about here can be considered personal in nature, but I do have to reiterate that all of the following information in these documents is publicly available and has been authenticated and certified as accurate by the Gordon County Clerk of Superior Court. That way, you cannot, or we cannot be accused of doxing in any way, shape, or form, just simply because this is publicly available information and it has been certified as true and accurate. So how about let's jump right into the next one on the show here and take a look at what we're doing. So what we're talking about here is part of it, the overarching view is the residency requirement for city commissioners.
Yeah, so you must live within Floyd County. You must be a resident there within a year, and you have to
live within the city limits of Rome.
Within the city limits of Rome, not just in Floyd County, but you have to be in Floyd County, in Rome, in your location within a year, and have to have your voter registration moved within the ward within a certain time.
Within 90 days, yes. Yep. Yeah, so explicitly it says that in the code section, the members at the time during their continuance in office shall be bona fide residents and citizens of the city and the ward for which they are elected, and must at the time of their qualification for election have been a registered voter and an elector of the city at least 90 days prior to qualification for election, and have been a resident and citizen of the ward in which they seek office for at least 90 days prior to and at the time of qualification for election. So now that we have that, let's move into kind of the subject of this, and that is our current mayor, Sunday Alexis Strickland Stevenson. So a little background on our Mayor Stevenson. She grew up in Calhoun and graduated from Calhoun High School. Her full name is, again, Sunday Alexis Strickland Stevenson. That is important to remember going forward with this. She was elected to the Rome City Commission in 2015. This is her second term. She is in the 8th year of her stead within this city commission. Her official Rome City Commission bio page says that she's lived in Rome for 32 years. But again, this was published shortly after she took office in 2016. She recently did an interview on June 5th of 2023, where she stated she's lived in Rome for 32 years or longer. So part of what that is and what you'll see there below the screenshot on that is another photo of her voter registration history, and you'll see that it circled her name there, Sunday Strickland Stevenson. You'll see the address of what she is registered to vote at in this ward, and this is Ward 1 where she is registered. And per her voter record history that came officially from the U.S. Or from the Georgia Secretary of State's office, she has lived in that location and has voted from that location since 1996. Which adds up per her voting record. Per
her voting record, but what it doesn't add up to is...
Yes, what we have found and uncovered with this. So I kind of want to give a little bit of an overview of this. We Conservatives Talk have uncovered documentation that has been certified by the Gordon County Clerk of Superior Court that between the dates of April 2009 and April 2021, Sunday Alexis Strickland Stevenson has sworn and affirmed that she was a citizen of Calhoun, Georgia, that she in fact did not live in Rome, Georgia during that time period after all. In 2009, she even had 2 other witnesses provide sworn testimony that she resided in Calhoun, Georgia. During this time frame, Sunday applied 3 times to become a notary public in Gordon County, and these dates do correspond with her tenure as a Rome City Commissioner.
Which is the biggest problem, right? Because, you know, for those of you who don't know, in order to be a certified notary, you must, like Justin said, have a witness testify to the fact, testify that you have been living in the area and residing within the county that you are supposed to be a notary in.
Yes, and we're going to take a minute to go over the actual applicable Georgia law, and we're actually going to bring this up and show you with all of this. But let's take a look at the next slide with this. And this is a certified copy from the Gordon County Superior Clerk's office showing that when they ran a search on Sunday Alexis Stevenson, or just, what is it? It's just for Stevenson SU. Those are the only 3 names in the entire state of Georgia that popped up in this search. And to give a little history about the organization that really controls a lot of this, so it is the Superior Clerk, the Georgia Superior Court Clerk Cooperative Authority. It's the government. It is the state level government agency and entity that really
oversees all of the public records when it comes to county clerks, right?
Yes.
So county clerks are the ones who oversee all the public records. So this is the agency that you go to when you need to do a search across the entire state for a public record.
Yes, and you'll notice there the 3 names that are on there are Sunday A. Stevenson, Sunday A. Stevenson, Sunday S. Stevenson. So I really want to draw back again to where we put out her full name is Sunday Alexis Strickland Stevenson.
The other key here is if you can see inside of that block, it all those names list as Calhoun, Gordon County, Georgia as the applicable address of residency. And
if you look at the dates, how they line up on there for when the expiration and the appointment dates are, they all coincide within the exact time frame. And we're going to actually look at something further a little bit here. So this right here these are copies of the actual notary public certifications for appointment. You'll see there that Sunday A. Stevenson on April 9th of 2009, she applied for this, and it says there that it certifies that Sunday Stevenson, whose address is 149 Lois Drive, Calhoun. So you can't really get much better than that, or you can't really get anything more definitive.
And I think it's also good to point out again that this is something that had to be testified by 2 witnesses in order for this to go through and be sealed. So it isn't just that she signed this document, but 2 people testified that this is her address when she signed up for this. Now, I think it's also important too to look at the next one, which coincides with this in April of 2013, right? The address is now changed. Well, the address has been added to include the P.O. box at this address. So this was not just a residential address. Well, it wasn't a residential address. This is a P.O. box.
Well, no, this could be a residential address.
It could be, but there's a P.O. box listed there, right? I think it's very important to understand that she still, regardless, doesn't live within inside. It doesn't say Floyd County, Rome, Georgia.
Yeah, exactly.
Any of that. It says Gordon County.
Exactly.
It says Calhoun, Georgia. There is a list of paper trail that says that this is not the address for someone to be able to run for office.
And this is what she swore and affirmed to as her residence. This was her residential address, and we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. And
but before we get into that, I think it's very important.
Go ahead.
Very important that if you go back and look at the last slide on those dates, this April 13th date, it expired in 2017, which is after she had ran. So she ran for office knowing that she was listing on official government documents that she lived in Calhoun, Georgia.
Yes. Well, at the time when she ran, she was listed as this being her address. It's this slide right here that says that she was still living at this address as of 2017.
Which is also, I think this is another key point, because then she renewed this license saying that she still lived in Calhoun while serving on the City of Rome Commission.
Yes, and I really highlighted the address that she had listed for this public notary certification, and really made it prominent a little bit bigger there, so you can actually see where it does in fact say this is a Calhoun address, and that is in fact her name, Sunday Alexis Stevenson. And on the next page, or the other side of that, you will see Sunday A. Stevenson. You will see where the applicant information is, and that is the address. That is the residential address that you are required to put into this.
So again,
and you can see that this is a certified copy from the Gordon County Superior Clerk's office.
That two other people, once again, witnessed and testified to that this was her residential address.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the next page with this right here. And again, I just really wanted to bring this up and really highlight where this issue is and where these issues really lie. So you'll see there on your screen where it says the applicant information, the address being 149 Lois Drive. You will then see just below that where it says declaration of applicant and notary public. This is Sunday Stevenson making a sworn statement, meaning that it is applicable in every court of law. And it says, I, the undersigned applicant, do solemnly swear, affirm, under penalty of perjury, that the personal information I have written in this application is true, complete, and correct. And that is her signature there with it.
If you can see right there where it says August 15, 2023, that is certifying from Gordon County that this is a actual document certified by them, stating that this is what they have on their records through open records request. And that was the date that this information was received.
Yes. So let's take a look at the next one with this. And you have to beg and ask the question, why does any of this matter? So let's take a look at what the Georgia law says with this. It does say that public notaries on OCGA 15-17-2, that public notaries are required under Georgia law to live in the county where they apply for their notary. It says that they must swear to this under the penalty of perjury to a duly elected officer of the court. If they lie, penalties could range anywhere up to multiple felonies. And as you can see there is highlighted under Section A, individual applying for appointment for a public notary shall, the third section there, be a legal resident of the county which such individual is appointed. So let's take a look at the next law involving this. So this right here is just kind of the general provisions of the application to become a notary. And it goes into a lot of detail of exactly who can and can't really apply for these positions. Before we get started with this, I do want to note that there is one exception for this case that is mentioned in this code, and that is Code Section 4517.7. And we're going to get to that in just a moment. But going through this, you must present some sort of valid ID that has your address, residency, and everything on there to be able to then show that this is who you are. Or the applicant is. You're stating that everything's true and true and accurate in your application, and everything is the way it needs to be. And you actually have to swear or affirm per this code in that next paragraph under the penalty of perjury that everything is true and accurate. And as Jamie has been saying in Section B, you must have 2 additional endorsements of folks that come in and and swear and affirm the same thing there, which kind of leads to another potential charge that could come up with this, and that's conspiracy to defraud the state of Georgia. Because conspiracy is you acting with others in an effort to commit a crime, knowing that what you are doing is illegal and wrong. And her knowing that she doesn't live in that county and her conspiring with 2 other individuals to give that same testimony and the same information would equal out to be what might be conspiracy to defraud the state of Georgia, which is a very serious felony. So moving forward with this, let's take a look at the next code section involving this. And this, again, is the one exception that I was talking about, and that is that you can live outside the state of Georgia and get a notary appointment in an adjoining county that you work in next to the state. Say if you work in Tennessee or you live in Tennessee, but you work in Catoosa, you can get a Catoosa County application, or you can get approved to be a public notary in Catoosa County, but you can't do that if you live in Whitfield County and apply for one in Catoosa.
Yeah. Which is also begs to differ. You know what I mean? If there was an attempt for an exemption, you know what I mean, it still wouldn't be applicable in this case.
No, not at all.
There, you know what I mean? Because these are not only neighboring counties inside of the state of Georgia, but it goes back to the fact of someone ran for office while still testifying that they were living in another county simultaneously, I might add.
Yes. So let's take a look at the next part of this right here. And that is kind of the general powers and duties. And I really took an interest in highlighting one part of that. And that is a public notary shall not execute a notarial certificate containing a statement known to be false or known by the notary to be false, or perform any action with an intent to deceive or defraud.
So this brings up the question, everything that she's notarized.
Yes, exactly.
So anything that she is notarized technically could not be determined legal or valid from this. I mean, from the moment that she decided to run for office.
Yes.
So anything that she is notarized for any public, private, nonprofit entity that goes back to, in this case, 2017, 2016 is
2009 or 2009.
Well, what I'm saying about that is, I mean, we can go back from the beginning, right? Yes. But the point, the benchmark that we can point to is when she said that she was running for office and certified that she lived in Floyd County from then.
Well, yes, but we also have the voter registration saying that it goes back 32 years.
I get that. I get that, right? But the two outside of the ID, the two firmed identifications where there was a swear upon was when she ran for office and then when she renewed the notary.
Well, no. So your initial application to become a notary requires the two, not the
I'm
subsequent
talking about the two.
The initial one was in 2009, where she had two co-conspirators come in and swear and affirm that she lived in Gordon County at the time as well.
Correct. I'm not talking about the two codes. I'm talking about the two addresses that we currently have.
Oh, got you. I understand that. Yes, I got you saying.
As the benchmark.
Yes, understandable. But yes, either way, whether you go back to 2009 or if you start 2013, it applies to this measure.
That's correct.
Without any sort of doubt or any sort of you can't really say that it does not apply in any way. It is black and white, crystal clear right here. So let's take a look at the next one. So this is the penalties that range with some of these issues. And it does say in here that any person that violates a subsection of D of code 4517H shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. And that's really the where you're looking at the duties, and we hang on real fast. Let's take a moment and go back to that page real quick, because this was one of the first slides with that. Oh, yes, this right here. This is where D right here, if they violate this, it's guilty of a misdemeanor. At least any person who violates subsection D of code section shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. But it does go on to say that any person who performs any notarial services without complying with the provisions of this article shall, upon first or second conviction, be guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon a third or subsequent conviction be guilty of a felony. So 2009, misdemeanor. 2013, misdemeanor. 2017, felony. And then if you look at it from this perspective, 2009, misdemeanor. She notarized one document between 2009 and 2013, misdemeanor. Any other document she notarized from that point forward, felony. So who knows? I mean, she could be Al Capone of Rome, Georgia, for all we know.
And that's the question, right? The question is just raising the question.
Mm-hmm. So looking further at this right here, and this kind of jumps into stating what it is for perjury with this right here. So each certificate that she did sign and that she swore and affirmed that this was her address under the penalty of perjury is an issuance of perjury in of itself. She perjured herself every time she signed one of those forms. So we know for a fact that there were a minimum of 3 because she was issued 3 certificates. And perjury is, as you see here, a felony. And it does say a person whom a lawful oath or affirmation has been administered commits the offense of perjury when in a judicial proceeding he knowingly and willfully makes a false statement material to the issue or point in question. The false statement was, this is my residence.
Well, and this is bigger than, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't just saying you didn't move your voter registration. This is saying we don't know where you live.
Yes, that's a huge part of it. Because I mean, she's been voting in Rome for 32 years, but she swore and affirmed that she lived in Calhoun between 2009 and 2021.
And who knows?
How do we know?
Who knows if it's even Calhoun?
Yeah,
it could be Bartow, it could be Catoosa, it could be Whitfield.
Yeah, so I mean, at the bare minimum, there are two outcomes to this. There are no other outcomes. There are only two. Either A, she committed a litany, or she potentially committed a litany of felonies involving perjury, involving falsifying governmental information, involving conspiracy to defraud the state of Georgia, or she has committed a litany of felonies involving essentially voter fraud. Those are the only two outcomes of this. There are no other explanations, reasons, or anything that could be used to mitigate any of this. Those are the only two ones. We have every record that shows these were the residents that she had declared, and this, one or the other.
This isn't a conspiracy. This is literally everything is documented and certified, as you can see from the documentation that we pulled up from a neighboring county, that this is Sunday Stevenson. Yes. So at this moment, we ask that Sunday Stevenson resign.
Yes. Well, we don't just ask. We are. Well, Jamie's asking. I'm demanding that Sunday Stevenson resign as the Rome City Mayor. You have clearly, at some level or another, violated the trust that was bestowed upon you by the citizens of Rome, in that you either A, do not live in Rome, or B, you are lying to the state of Georgia and committing a series of crimes and defrauding the state and any other person of whom you notarize their official documents. So you have lost every bit of trust, every bit of integrity, or anything along that line involving you being able to serve public office. So with that in mind, you must resign. So one of the things that we do with this right here, and we also would like to call on local law enforcement to initiate an investigation into Sunday Stevenson, just to determine her true residency and any potential lawlessness that came from her actions. We are not advocating for arrest. We are not advocating for any sort of violent action or any really negative action. Just the investigation to become or to be done.
Just the truth.
Yes, we just want the truth. Where do you live? We also demand that her application to be a candidate in the upcoming 2023 Rome City municipal elections be disqualified, just simply based on the fact of we don't know where she lives. And we have no way of determining that. And based upon the documentation that we've shown with this,
she lives in Calhoun.
You can't prove that you live in Rome. So with that in mind, you must step down from that. If you do not step down with that, we call on the city clerk to to disqualify you from being able to run for this office. There's no other way around this.
These are certified documents from Gordon County, stamped and signed by them in August of this year, 2023, certifying that over the last couple of years, the current person holding the position of mayor, elected by the commission, not the people, is not a resident of Floyd County.
Yes.
She must resign and withdraw her application to run for office again.
Yes, exactly. But we do understand that that may not be what she has in mind. She may not wish to do that. So with that in mind, let's turn it over to the people. If you wish to let Sunday Stevenson know that she needs to resign from her position and remove herself from running for election until all of this becomes crystal clear, and instead of the clear as mud aspect that we have right now, send her an email. Let her know. You see her, that is her official email address to her elected position on your screen there. And that is sstevenson@romegeorgia.us. Send her an email, demand that she resign, and tell her you do not appreciate being lied to the way that she has been doing. So, with that, Jamie,
this is the
any
close,
other thing?
This is the close of the Roman special, and I just got to say that this is one of those things to where, you know, Mayor Stevenson, now's the time to remove yourself from that position.
Do what's right,
and it's now time for Rome to actually kind of start to move in the right direction again.
Mm-hmm. Remove yourself. Allow us the opportunity and the time to heal, so we can get over what we found you have been doing to us for so long. And with that, this is Conservatives Talk, Roman Special.
Number 3.
We'll